Yep. Here we are, guys. So number 2 is still up for vote. So vote.
Are we live? Because we are. I have to put my pants on.
We are live. Go ahead and put your pants on.
Please, Ross. Thank you.
We are live.
Okay.
And we're without pants.
Disturbingly live. Yeah, and so it's still time to vote for number 2 in my blog. So go in my blog and vote who you think the best number 2 is of all time, so we can get that in. We'll do that at the end of the show.
As if there's anybody other than Brian Leach to vote for, but whatever.
There's early votes are interesting. The early returns are interesting, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to think. Mike, did Leach wear 2 in Toronto? Did they give him 2?
Yes, he did.
I thought he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he wore 2 in Boston though. Did he?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, I think he wore like a multiple.
Yeah, I do too.
I'll check on that.
Okay. Because he is a Boston alumni now. Like he actually, when he plays in alumni games, like at the Winter Classic, he plays for Boston.
That's funny.
Even
he
though
lives there. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
Even though he played 61 games for them.
Right.
Brian Leach was 22.
22. That's it. Always a very...
Because Eddie Shore was retired with 2.
Right.
I believe.
Oh, that's right. Yep. For sure. For sure. Ha. Gary. All right.
And we will save all the humor about the Republican convention. We don't need that today.
There was humor? Whatever.
Oh, my God.
The fact that it's happening and the fact that a certain person's the nominee, but that's enough of the humor today.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that at all.
No.
At all today. We don't. We got into a little too much yesterday. Sorry, it was just a little too crazy. Anyway, here we go. Let's start the show. Ba-ba-dum-ba-dum. Hello, Hockey World. It's Wednesday, July 20th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday at this time and is brought to you by listeners like you at patreon.com/hockey, where you can support the show, and many more of you did yesterday. We really appreciate it. We have a special show for you all on Friday for the supporters only, and just stay tuned for more details about that, patreon.com/hockey. But let's get on with the show. One of the things that I'm happy about today is that I'm not Phil Kessel, because this is a baffling thing to me. I contacted some people I know within the USA hockey world to talk about this, and here's what it basically said. So if you're just to follow the news out, obviously Ryan Callahan's hurt, and he's been replaced by Kyle Palmieri, who had a great year. And this is not a shot on Kyle Palmieri at all. He's a very good player. Deserves, he's going to arbitration, right? Or did he sign? Was he extended officially? I'm trying to remember.
He was extended, I think.
He was extended or was going to arbitration, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, he signed an extension.
Right, so he was here before arbitration, right? So, all right, so here's Kyle Palmieri, and I know the way that Team USA likes to build their teams. They build it based on 2 things in the past, and this is coach, and this is not depending on the coach. This is taking Torts out of it for a second. They build it on the concept of slotting guys into positions. So they have 2 lines of offense and 2 lines of more defensive style, which I think you could argue that in the new NHL it's like 3 lines of offense and 1 line of defense, but the 4th line is the 4th line to them, right? And their 4th line was going to be was going to have like Backus on it, was going to have Callahan on it, and Dubinsky. That was their 4th line as they saw it, hardworking 4th line. So when Callahan goes down, they want to put somebody else on the 4th line. So they look and they say, okay, Phil Kessel's not a 4th liner. That's not the game he plays. He doesn't play a physical game. Obviously, he doesn't hit people. We joked about that all the time. All he does is score, right? So he's a goal scorer. That's a
bad trait.
It's a terrible trait, especially for a team like that had so much trouble scoring the last time around.
Right.
But here they are. So that's the first thing you have to know about Team USA. The second thing you have to know about Team USA is they always try to build a team to beat Canada. That's their goal in this tournament. They're looking at this like that. So
can we call it a big failure the fact that they have a 4th line? Like in this day and age, that's a failure in international play. They're going to find out when they put out that fourth line against some of the other teams, they're gonna get blown off the ice. Like, this is literally going to happen.
Because, I mean, other teams' fourth lines are first line NHL quality, right? So you're looking at, and they don't see it that way. I mean,
I know.
Well, what people don't realize, and I mean, we know that Team USA got to the gold medal game in Vancouver in 2010, but they got there mostly because Ryan Miller was stupendous.
Yeah.
Now, the team was good, but they got great goaltending, and they got to that final game, and then they got to overtime. But they had guys like Chris Drury, who was basically a role player, and like you said, they had top two, bottom two line structure, which I think was more of a function. I'll disagree with you slightly. More of a function of the fact that Ron Wilson was the coach, and that was because they did that with Team USA at the World Junior. There was a bottom six, top six mentality with that team. And I think that's what's going on here. Kessel's a top six guy. Now, he wasn't in Pittsburgh, but he played a third line. But that was their the ability that they had with so many talented players.
Which an international team should surely have that ability. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
You can go with one of two philosophies. You can go with a team that has four lines, but they're basically a first line and three second lines, and nobody checking and everybody trying to score. Or you can go with a more conventional set of two scoring lines, a checking line, and an energy line. The USA Hockey seems to be stuck in that mentality of two scoring lines, energy line, checking line, and Tortorella, I think he's more comfortable with that. That's why I think they're going with that, and that's why I think they chose Palmieri over Opozo or over Kessel.
He certainly doesn't help the situation, Tortorella. I mean, but I think he feeds.
That is his belief. That's why.
But it feeds, and you could say, is this a chicken or egg thing? I mean, was he picked because that's the kind of belief he has as a coach, or is this the belief that the team has because of Tortorella?
I believe he was picked because he has the most wins of any coach as a U.S.-born coach in the history of the NHL, and so I think they decided, we have to choose him because he has those credentials, but it still doesn't mean everybody, including Dean Lombardi, has to be on board with this philosophy.
Right.
No, and now, so what it comes down to is, in how the team will do in this tournament, because that's what's going to happen. Now, if this team goes out and can't beat, anyone, I mean, basically, their division is set up for them to do pretty well. I mean, Canada's in there, and then after that, it's the Czech Republic and Team Europe, right? So it's like this is a division where it should be Canada and the U.S. all the way, right? This is their little grouping or whatever. But I have a tough time thinking that this U.S. team's gonna have any luck against Sweden, Finland, or even North America on the other side, because I think those three,
with all of them.
Yeah, all three of those teams, and Russia. I mean, throw Russia in there too. All four of those teams on the other side can compete with USA.
The question is, what team is hurt more by the 23 and under team? And my contention is it's the U.S.
Yeah.
Because guys like Dylan Larkin, guys like Austin Matthews might make Team USA.
I asked somebody this question today
Eichel.
with Team USA, and I said the same thing. I said, could you tell me off the record, or on the record, which one of the guys, you would have definitely extended an invitation to from the under 23 team? And they said, I'll tell you on the record that no one. He said, not yet. I mean, these are really young players. He said they're young.
I mean, I'm not saying you're. I'm saying that's
crazy.
That's crazy, I mean,
but
really,
these are very young. We're talking about extremely young players. Larkin, Eichel.
Okay, wait a minute. If they're too young for this tournament, then how could Larkin score all these points in the NHL? How will Matthews score in the NHL this year? Come on, it's complete nonsense.
Justify choosing Jimmy Vesey, Dylan Larkin, Connor Hellebuyck for USA Hockey in the World Championships, and then not choosing them for the World Cup. It doesn't.
World Hockey, they didn't have everybody available to them. There were some.
That's fine. You can make that argument. That's a fair argument.
I mean, they have everybody available to them now, and their feeling is that they've got 12 forwards and 6 defensemen that they really like, and that Gossavir doesn't make it. That's fine. Seth Jones,
I mean, I'm not doubting that the person told you this.
There's just no good justification.
Right, exactly. And I'm not doubting that the person.
What I'm telling you is this is what they believe. We can argue whether or not they believe this or not. This is what they believe. So we can argue whether or not that's the right thing to believe, because I don't think it's the right thing to believe either. But this is where Team USA is coming from. So you want to know where Team USA is coming from. This is where they're coming from. This is what they're and is this being driven by Tortorella to a degree? Of course it is, right? But
I mean, that's a very Russian mentality, if you ask.
Yeah, it is.
And we excoriated the Russians for their closed-mindedness of not choosing Provorov and choosing Nikita Nesterov.
Right. Oh yeah. No, and I think we can do the same with USA for sure.
I had to re-look up Dylan Larkin to make sure I thought he had a decent year, and he was the third leading scorer on his team and had the most goals on his NHL team.
Right.
But yet he wouldn't have been extended an invitation to this.
I know.
Let's invite Justin Abdelkader over Dylan Larkin.
Well, let's remember back to John Van Beesbrook not being invited. I mean, not John. I'm sorry, James Van Riemsdyk. James Van Riemsdyk not being invited to Vancouver, right? And he was also one of the best. He was one of the top scorers on the Flyers too, but he was also very young. So,
but then you're talking okay, there's a personal preference thing, whatever. But you named us some really good young NHL talent.
Yeah.
Some of it's already proven at the NHL level, and some of it will be proven after this year, and yet they probably wouldn't get an invite. To me, it just doesn't even add up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but the way they build this team, I don't think the way they build this team, there's not space for them. They literally have their top players already. So if they can't find a spot for Kessel, then they're not finding a spot for Larkin.
They can find a spot for Phil Kessel. Let's be real about that.
Right. I mean, if it was any other coach other than Ron Wilson, because we know how Ron Wilson and Phil Kessel got along, if it was any other coach, it was Dan Bilesman. I mean, Dan Bilesman, I'm sure, has a positive viewpoint on Phil Kessel, because Phil Kessel was arguably the best player in Sochi for Team USA. So if it was another coach coaching that team that's an American coach, I think Kessel would be on that team. But the funny thing is, you're talking about the core group. More than likely, if the NHL goes to the Olympics in 2018, which they probably won't,
right?
Eichel, Larkin, Matthews, you're talking the core group of that team, and none of them would have been, according to your source, would have been invited. That's
2018. Then Larkin's got 3 or 4 years in the league, not just one. Matthews hasn't even played in the NHL yet. I mean, I'm saying what they're saying to me, and this is their argument. They're saying, okay, these guys are all really. I mean, to add a rookie to this team is a very difficult thing.
Okay, I would take any of these rookies over Zach Parise at this point, and I get what Zach Parise has meant in the past to the USA program. I get it. I watched him win a gold for the World Juniors, but he's no longer that player.
Right.
So that's one of the guys right there that I would immediately say you could put in.
Dylan Larkin over Zach Parise as a top 6 player.
Yes, absolutely.
And I mean, and I think it was Mike Keenan chose Eric Lindros. Okay, I'm not saying Austin Matthews is Eric Lindros, but he chose him for the World Cup when
that was Bobby Clark that chose Eric Lindros for the World Cup, and remember what that was about too, is that at that point in time, the Flyers had just gotten Lindros, and Clark was being it was like he was going just trying to be nice to him. That was a real favor type thing. That faced a lot of criticism at the time in Canada.
And I agree, it did. And I'll give you one other player. I mean, look, this is a good roster, and I don't want to disparage players because they are good players. But I'll give you another player that could be replaced by one of these guys that we're talking about, and that's T.J. Oshie. I don't care what he did in the Olympics. Yeah. I know what T.J. Oshie does now, and T.J. Oshie is an effective player, but he's not as good as some of these other players we're mentioning.
Right.
Well, in his case, what they'll say is that the way the Olympic shootout thing works, they can even, and I think, and I can see their point.
Wasn't Dylan Larkin one of the better shootout guys too in the NHL? I think he was.
Yeah, but he's not, he's not Oshie, right? Oshie's lights out. So
I know. I'm just saying.
I agree with you. I'm not, and I'm playing devil's advocate because I agree with you guys on all this stuff. I don't disagree. That I think the U.S. team, if the World Cup is played 4 years from now again, or whenever they play it again. And there's rumors it might not be every 4, it might be every 3 years. I heard that too. But
and here's the thing: if you're going to make me choose between Blake Wheeler and Austin Matthews, I'm gonna, and I get it. Not everybody can play center either, but some of these guys are pretty versatile. But if you're gonna make me choose just to say who I think is a better player, that's gonna be a tough call because I like Blake Wheeler as a player, but I also think that Matthews is faster than Blake Wheeler already, and he's pretty much his size. With the right guys. I mean, again, you can go with Austin Matthews' last year's numbers, and it's funny because if he gets a point a game, he's maligned. He really is. Now, before that, like I said, with Bracco, he was well more than a point a game, and that's why I say if you put him with the right guy, he'll be well more than a point a game. But worst case scenario is he's probably a point a game.
Right. I know it's insane. I mean, Austin Matthews is a heck of a player, and obviously he deserves to be, considered for sure. But he hasn't played in the NHL yet. I can see keeping Austin Matthews off a little bit.
And more than likely, Austin Matthews is going to be the third-line center for Team North America because it'll be McDavid as the number 1, Eichel is the number 2, and Matthews probably is the number 3.
That's fine.
That's fine. No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's how impressive and how deep that team is. That Austin Matthews is probably going to be the third-line center.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. I mean, do you think? I mean, this is an aside from
there is no fourth line when you're in a tournament like this. That's the biggest problem with this U.S. team is when you have a team of all-stars like this, there is no fourth line, and that kind of thinking just gets you into trouble and gets players on the team that probably shouldn't be on the team as a result.
But see, the thing is, Russ, is that Team Canada did this years and years ago and finally got out of this habit. Remember, Rob Zaminer making the Olympic team. Chris Draper. I mean, just bring your best players because your best players have the ability to adapt.
Listen, the justification that Brian Burke gave with Chris Drury was over the top, and I love Brian Burke. We all do, but it was crazy over the top, almost like, well, we have to have Chris Drury because we just have to.
Yeah, and if you want to really debate about something regarding Team USA for the World Cup, it's some of the defensemen that they chose.
Yeah.
Because I still don't understand, going back to 2010 and inviting the Johnsons or Matt Niskanen over some other guys who I think were more deserving.
Sure.
Well, there you go. So I mean it's there. But there's a lot of discussions, a lot of different things went back and forth with Team USA about Phil Kessel, about keeping him off, and I talked to 3 people close to that situation, and one thing I will say is there's a general uncomfortableness with Team USA and Phil Kessel, and it's like an awkwardness that and we talk about this like it should be because you don't think that should happen, and it really shouldn't. Like there should be somebody at Team USA who can bridge that, who can be like, you know what, let's just deal with it. Like Phil's an odd duck, but he's not a horrible person. If we go to him and say we're sorry, you weren't invited. I think not inviting him the first time around has everybody a little bit afraid to approach him this time around. I got that a little bit. It wasn't that no one came right out and said that. But there was definitely well we didn't we thought about it, but somebody should we say anything to because there was a thing of like we didn't invite him the first time. Then he went on and had this incredible playoffs, and people were like, okay, maybe we should invite him. And how will he respond to that? I've also heard that Phil Kessel may have had a little bit of surgery, which no one really has talked about, but I don't know whether that's the case or not. I'm trying to do some more research on that one.
Yeah.
But there's some things. I think there's just a general awkwardness. And that's why I think the Team USA needs to have there should be somebody within that organization who's good enough to handle that.
Kessel had hand surgery.
Okay, so he had hand surgery. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not anything severe. He would have been. I think he had it a couple weeks ago, and they said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks, so he would have been available.
Probably would have been okay.
Right, but no. Then the thing is, the parameters to choose the player didn't change. The player that fell out was, as you said, was a energy bottom 6 guy, and they were going to replace him with an energy bottom 6 guy. You don't see them replacing him with Bobby Ryan. You don't see him replacing him with Tyler Johnson or Kyle Oposo. They replaced him with Kyle Palmieri, who's a good player, but he's he fits into that role. So they made a decision.
Not a big guy at all. I mean, he's not. You're not talking about
but he can effectively play. He played that sort of energy role, third line role with Anaheim before he was traded to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Top 6 role, so he can fit into that more effectively than Kessel. Do I think that's the right choice? Do I think Kessel should be on that team? Yeah, because I think he would deserve it. But
yeah, I mean, I think the U.S. It's going to be a question that comes up so much at the freaking World Cup of Hockey when the U.S. can't score goals. It's going to be like, okay, where is the goal scoring coming from? And it's going to happen.
Thing now.
And it'll be brought up a lot because it's taking place in Toronto and Kessel's a former.
Right.
So it'll be brought up a lot.
Oh no, it will be brought up a lot, and it should be brought up a lot. I mean, the bottom line is, and it was brought up a lot about not taking Bobby Ryan to Sochi too, because of the same reason. There was a lot of stuff like that team could not score in Sochi with Phil Kessel on it, and Phil Kessel had the most goals I think of anyone on that team in Sochi, if I remember right.
And they had 2 scorers. They had Kessel and they had Kane.
Right, and that's really what they have, until Eichel and Matthews get there, get up to speed. That is really, and Larkin. That is really what Team USA has, right? So
yeah.
Kessel and Kane, and that's it. So you're taking 50% of that away. I just think it's so stupid and so foolish, and I think that it's gonna really draw into question a lot of the people who are running Team USA by the end of this tournament. I think it should honestly it should. And now if they win and everybody is great and all that stuff, but again they're counting on Jonathan Quick to stand on his head, and which he probably will. He'll do a great job. He's always been great in this situation, but. Man, you can't expect him to stand on his head when he's facing 4 solid lines from other teams, like you're saying, Russ, and not 3. And if we learned anything from the Penguins, I mean, if this is a copycat league, these other teams have been built more like that than they are like Team USA is being built in an old structure. So yeah, real hard time with this one. So we'll see what happens, but I think that they need to get past the personal stuff, which I really do think is still playing into it. And I was shocked to find to really hear that it would be that the personal stuff, because usually NHL teams and people are better at that, or better than that,
Well, Phil's too busy right now going through his Stanley Cup portfolio rather than worrying about the World Cup.
Yeah, I don't think he definitely cares about it, but
no, he cares, but I mean, it's probably not keeping him up at night.
Yeah, I mean, he's happy. He had a hell of a playoff. I mean, take Sidney Crosby, and actually everyone's love for Sidney Crosby away, and Phil may have won the Conn Smythe. So it's kind of crazy. We always say Wayne Gretzky's records can never be broken, or never. The Gretzky put up these records that were really amazing. One of them is in jeopardy this next year.
Can we name one out of how many? I mean.
Oh, I know. But this is a scoring record that Gretzky holds. Gretzky right now has 9 more power play goals than Alexander Ovechkin. It's pretty interesting, I mean, it's like, we talk about Ovechkin has had this incredible career, and Ovechkin could pass Wayne Gretzky, or will pass Wayne Gretzky next year probably with more than 9 power play goals. I thought that was pretty astonishing. The Gretzky record's just. I mean, that's a scoring record. I mean, he wasn't I think there's arguments out there. Okay, you can say that there were, Gretzky lived in an era where not as many penalties were called, perhaps.
Well, let's just say this. I don't know what the stats are, but I would seriously doubt that Ovechkin's anywhere close to Gretzky in terms of power play points. Power play goals, yeah, but you got to remember, after that big year, and he had some really great offensive years in terms of goals, but after that 92-goal year, he started to drift off offensively, and he was mostly more of an assist guy later in his career. So, yeah, I mean, I'll bet you anything, he's probably about 80 to 90 points ahead of Ovechkin in terms of power play points.
Sure, but I can't disparage Ovechkin. He's one of the great goal scorers of all time, and I would hazard to say that it's possible since the lockout that more penalties have been called in the NHL than used to be. I don't have a stat for that, but the eye test sort of tells me that, especially when we first came out of it, you remember there were a ton of power plays.
Oh yeah, there were.
And like Gretzky, there is no first and second power play when it comes to Alex Ovechkin. He's on the first. He's on the second. He stays.
Wayne played a lot of both power plays ends too.
No, but I kind of wonder. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
For power play time on the ice. Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other stats that Ovechkin can catch, and these are really interesting. That they aren't Gretzky stats, but they are still interesting. The most shots on goal in a career. Okay, who do you think holds this record currently? It's a pretty interesting stat.
I'm going to go Jaromir Jagr.
Nope. It's not a current player, but it's not an ancient player either. So it's a player that played, in our lifetime a lot.
Marcel Dion.
Nope. Most shots on goal is 6,206, by the way, for a career.
Gordie Howe.
Nope. 6,206. Ovechkin is 4,228. He's slightly, he's still 2,000 behind him, but he's still got a long way to go.
Give us a hint.
All right, the hint is that this is a defenseman.
Okay.
Paul Coffey.
Nope.
Ray Bourque.
Ray Bourque. Very, very good.
Oh!
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Ray Bourque. Most shots on goal in a career.
That was a pure guess, I swear.
That's impressive, though. It's surprising, isn't it? 6,000.
Impressive.
Well, it had to be a long career, and it had to be somebody who took a lot of shots and was an offensive guy throughout. Actually, one of the guys I would have thought about was Leach.
Yeah, but Leach, you know what? That dissipated when he had Zubov on the team because Zubov would take a lot of shots. So that dissipated quickly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry, I had the phone coming up. Now, next up, next interesting record that Ovechkin can get to. Most shots on goal in one season. Okay, so last year, he fell only 22 shots shy of this record. So last year, Ovechkin took 528 shots. Oh, no, sorry. In 2008-9, he took 528 shots. Apologize. 528 shots, 2008-9. Most shots on goal in one season was in 1970-71 by who? Phil, 550 shots taken that year by. 1970-71. Nope.
1970-71 most shots on goal, you said?
In one season, yeah.
Phil Esposito?
Phil Esposito, yep, 550.
Yeah, that's the next best.
Took that.
Wasn't that the 70 plus goal year?
Yep, 70-71, yeah. And most shots on goal in one game. This year, remember, Ovechkin had 15 shots in one game. He did that. That was the second time in his career he had done that, believe it or not. Remember, he did it in 2006-07 and again this year. 15 shots in one game. The most shots in one game by a player is 19 and was done in 1991 by who?
Dale Hawerchuk.
No.
1991.
Yeah.
Mark Recchi.
Nope.
Okay, 4 defensemen.
Defenseman again.
Oh, defenseman. I'm sorry, I slept through that part.
Al McInnes.
No, we're back at Ray Bourque again, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a trick question.
A little bit of a trick question, yeah. Who is number 2 on this all-time shots on goal list, by the way, is Jagr at 54-24. So.
Okay, so not too far off there.
Yep, and so Ovechkin is currently 17th all-time on that with the 420, but he's the only one still playing except for Jagr. But yeah, so Jagr could catch it, I guess, technically as well, But he's got 800 shots to go still. He could do it. I mean, Jagr, who knows? Jagr could catch Bourque.
That's at least another 3 or 4 seasons.
Right. I mean, Ovechkin doesn't take 500 shots a year nowadays. So that's pretty cool, though. I like that stat. I appreciate the guy from Reddit who sent that in. I thought that was really cool. For sure. So I wanted to get before we get into the actual the number of the day, which is going to be kind of fun to talk about because remember to go to my blog right now and enter your entry into it. Whether you're going to go with Doug Harvey, Al McInnes, Mark Howe, or Brian Leach. There's 4 choices.
One obvious one.
Russ will be very agitated if his guy does not win in this one.
He's not even my guy. You stole him from me because you fortuitously picked where you were going to go and stole him from me.
I did not. I gave you got to go first for number 1, so you went last for number 2.
I didn't ask to go first, and then this forced a rule change.
Okay, all right. But then it forced a rule change, which you get 1. We decide you get 1 veto in the 99 numbers. So there you go. Pretty good. So Jordan Schroeder has cleared waivers.
Okay.
He remains a Group 2 free agent with July 27th arbitration date. So it still goes as we said before, and he does have an arbitration with that, So Grigorenko, interesting stuff going on in the Grigorenko world. For those of you who are interested in Grigorenko, which I know Buffalo fans still are, and the Abs. But for the Abs right now, his arbitration numbers. Okay, the club offered $950,000, and Grigorenko has asked for $1.65 million. So that is exactly $600,000 apart, or $700,000 apart. Sorry. So basically, almost double of what the club wants to give him. Where do we think this goes, and what is Grigorenko worth? If you guys are the arbitrators, you got to pick one, $950 or $1.65. Where are you going?
Well, you never pick one. It never ends up at one. I say he'll get.
Rule you have to pick one.
No, I think it usually ends up somewhere in between, doesn't it?
I thought there was a rule. Maybe it's an old.
I thought they choose one or the other. That's why there's always settlements.
You do now? Okay, I didn't realize that.
I never know how the new CBA's thing changed.
I know, I didn't either. I'll be honest, I didn't.
But as I remember it, you have to pick one or the other. It's that simple. It's like so.
It's going to be $950.
Do you think they'll go $950, not $1.65?
Yeah.
He scored 6 goals and 21 assists in 74 games.
Yes, I think $950 is a safe bet too.
Yeah, if they give him $1.6 million scoring 6 goals, nobody is safe. So I would think that if it goes to the arbitrator, it'll be $950. That's why it'll probably end up as a settlement. He'll get it like 1.1 and be ecstatic.
Yeah, no, I think so.
So every hockey website sucks. Nobody has power play time on the ice, so I could even.
Wow. Well, there you go.
It's awful. Like, they have it now, but they don't have it for retired players, and so, I can't even match it up.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now we have another arbitration.
For everybody out there.
Now I got to go check the door. Somebody's trying to break into our house. Give me 1 second.
Okay, well, we'll talk about Chris Kreider.
Let's give you the arbitration. 3.2 is the club offer. 4.75 the player offer. How are you going with this one?
Mute yourself, Ak. Okay, well, Russ, I think this is going to end up getting settled, especially after we talked about
it's getting settled.
It's getting settled, and I would not be surprised if it gets settled for a long-term extension. It's not going to be like one of those 2-year settlements. They'll get a long-term deal with Kreider, but the question is,
what's long-term? More than 3 years?
Yeah, more than 3 years. I think they're going to get him on 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And if they do that, I think he probably exceeds the amount that they offer that he wants because they're buying unrestricted years. So if they get him on a 4 or 5 year deal, they're buying at least 2 years of unrestricted free agency. So I think he's going to end up getting around $5 million for 5
years. That's what I think.
Yeah. And I think that I think that's fair. Now the thing is, and we will, because the first arbitration hearing was settled with Marcus Johansson before it ever got to the hearing, which is what's going to happen with most of these guys. And Johansson signed a 3-year deal at about $4.5 million. You look at Washington now; they've got around $3 million left, a little over $3 million left, and still have Dmitry Orlov to sign. So, and you're talking and I don't think Orlov is a $3 million defenseman, but you're talking right now Washington has got little wiggle room.
Yeah.
If they want to add something, there's always a way to finagle that during the season, but they're pretty much going into camp with the team that they're going to have unless injuries come into play later in the year. So the question is whether they're good enough. They were the best team in the league last year.
They upgraded the fourth-line center position. To me, that was a key. They could definitely get better years out of certain guys if Orpik stays healthier. It's a question, but if he does, goalie's a year more experience. I think they're better.
All right, so I got to point this out to you guys. Okay, so I go upstairs, and my one dog is freaking out, right? So the little dog is freaking out, and I'm like, the little dog usually doesn't bark. Turns out the big dog has managed to attack this bowl. How about this? Ate an entire box of Frosted Flakes.
And the box.
Oh, and part of the box. Yeah, this is what's left of it when I go upstairs.
So Neil's just saying about 2 hours, Buzz is going to be in a diabetic coma.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, first of all, we never bought. I don't know. I cannot believe my wife even bought this. This is like completely astonishing. We have never had sugar cereal in the house at all. Buzz must have been like, "Oh my God, sugar cereal's in the house." This must have been like.
I think there's a bigger foul here. Why the hell are marshmallows and Frosted Flakes?
I know. I think this is my favorite cereal is Frosted Flakes. My son's favorite cereal is Lucky Charms. I have a feeling that my wife saw this and just like, well, I got to get that.
I think this is a jump in the shark moment for Frosted Flakes. I do.
I know. Why do you have to?
In honor of Gary Marshall.
Add sugar to Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, I mean.
Frosted Flakes are nothing but sugar. They are the epitome of a sugar cereal. They are perfect in every which way.
Yeah,
I mean what Buzz did to this box, this is pretty crazy. I guess
not for me, but if it was the 9-year-old Michaelgello, then that would be the case. But now I would eat Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
But I just don't get it because
Raisin Bran means
it's already good on its own. Now we're going to add marshmallows to it. I mean, it's kind of like saying, well, she's a great-looking supermodel, but she can look better. It's like you can't.
Right? Like get hair extension.
Am I the only one who bought Lucky Charms and ate the marshmallows and didn't eat the cereal?
Oh, everyone does that. I mean, I would do that with Raisin Bran, my friend. Like I think I wish they just served that you could just buy the raisins from Raisin Bran. I would buy them.
The sugar-coated
raisins. They are amazing.
I'll tell you who did something similar. The people at Cracker Jacks figured out one year to just sell the peanuts. And they did. I bought them. I was like, this is awesome. They had just the peanuts.
Yep. No, I know exactly. I know that, and they need to do that with. I've sent letters to Raisin Bran about this.
Well, no. All you have to do for people who don't want the sugar, if you buy post Raisin Bran, they don't sugar the raisins. It's only Kellogg's Raisin Bran that does sugar the raisins.
Really? That I didn't know. See, then you really have to get Kellogg's Raisin Bran. The sugared raisins are the way to go.
And for some reason, post Raisin Bran is like $1 more expensive.
Yeah, the Post is. I would always buy Kellogg's over Post for Raisin Bran.
Now, along these lines, and then we'll get into back to hockey and finish our number thing. Gardettos, which is the greatest snack in the world. Okay.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
Here's Gardettos. Okay, you've seen this before for sure. I'll show you a picture. You've seen Gardettos before. This is Gardettos. Okay. So Gardettos looks like this.
Oh, that's awful.
Okay, this is like the crazy, and it has inside these little things here. This is the golden ticket.
Bagel chips.
These like rye bagel chips. They taste like rye bread.
Well, pumpernickel. It's pumpernickel.
Pumpernickel, right? So what they've done is they've released this special request: roasted garlic rye chips.
Right.
Just that part of it.
That is a third world snack.
It's not a third world snack.
It is. Why would you get that over Chex Mix? Chex Mix kills that.
Gardettos is. I take total offense to Gardettos being called a third world snack. You're a Mickey Mouse supporter.
No, they should be guilty. They should be guilty of plagiarism like Melania Trump because I've seen Manhattan bagel chips being sold for years.
Yeah, but Gardettos rye chips are like dipped in butter. I mean, they're crazy good. I mean, they literally dip them in butter and then salt them. I mean, they're just not so good. All right, so.
If you do a blind taste test, Chex Mix wins.
Oh, we do that all the time around here. We did the blind taste test the other day of 12 macaroni and cheeses.
Who was the best mac and cheese?
The best mac and cheese turned out to be the No, I mean the Kraft was good, but the problem with this is everyone knows Kraft is so like we had 10 blindfolded people, which is not abnormal for one of our parties, by the way.
I wouldn't know.
Just saying.
Please don't tell me you're putting your keys in a bowl.
Oh yeah, no. Normally, I mean, finding 10 blindfolds was not a problem. So we had 10 blindfolded people, and I was dishing out the mac and cheese to people. It's hilarious. So Kraft, which they call in Canada Kraft macaroni dinner. It's something that it's so distinctive. It's just obvious what it is, right? So you have like all these different. So people know what it is, and people who love that they did go with that. But in general. The Macaroni Grill, which is like a chain in this area, came up as the #1. I mean, we had I had so many of them.
Panera?
Yeah, better than Panera's, and I got Panera's on. I think it was your recommendation, right? I did. Yeah. We got Panera's. They like Panera's. We also got like the Amy's, which is like Yeah,
the Amy's is really top of the line.
It's really good, and then we got the frozen Stouffer's ones, which is the other
that
one's
still pretty good.
They're pretty good too. They're really cheesy.
You know what used to be the best, but they don't make it anymore, was the Howard Johnson's was really good.
Howard Johnson? Do they even make Howard Johnsons anymore?
There's no Howard Johnsons. There is no Howard. Well,
there are a couple left because Marriott bought them, and they did leave a few up. And
really?
Believe it or not, Howard Johnson's was still around until about a decade ago in Delaware. There still was one in Delaware, and you could go there and you could get the mac and cheese, and you could still get the fried clams, which were always good, and the mint chocolate chip ice cream. Those were. I'll
never forget being in northern Jersey, like around like Manahawkin or someplace in this crazy area, or West Orange maybe, or someplace in that area, and asking somebody, you know, where he could get some food, and them telling me, this is as like and I just got my license, that there was an IHOP near the Hojos, and I'm like, what the hell? I had no idea what any of that meant. Well, I had to call lots of people and to get the translation of what IHOP near Hojo's meant. So
Howard Johnson's went out of business because it was associated with a overrated bad Mets third baseman.
Yeah, I take offense to that.
There is no relation between Howard Johnson's and Howard Johnson. Okay, so let's get into our numbers here. Before we get into number 3, go ahead, Mike. You have something else to say?
No, we have to touch on what I think is a pretty. It's sort of embarrassing situation with the arbitrator, and I don't even know the name of the article, but the arbitrator who decided on the Weidman case
this is a crazy story.
Reduce the suspension from 20 games to 10 games has not had his contract renewed by the NHL.
It's like that you can fire an arbitrator. Is real. There's something wrong with them.
They just didn't renew them.
But the fact is, I mean, what does this say? I mean, how fair can this system possibly be moving forward for these arbitrators? So you better roll in favor of the NHL.
It is.
I mean, of all the people, this guy should have been safe. Like, this does not the appearance of evil, which is something the NHL hates. I mean, I've heard them use that word before, the appearance of evil. That something might not be bad, but this appears evil. NHL. I mean, this is just. There's no way of getting around it. This is the appearance of evil.
It's very Machiavellian that they did this, and I don't get it. I mean,
it's strange that the arbitrator is employed by the NHL at all. Like, in a way, I mean, shouldn't this be a joint? Shouldn't there be another company formed with the NHL and the NHLPA that?
Well, it's a third party, but I assume if both parties have to, and I don't know this, so I'm just saying, I'm assuming both parties.
Maybe both parties have to. Maybe both. Well, I got to find it out. If both, or if the NHL just has the ability to just
the right of first refusal to say no, we don't want them back.
We don't want arbitrators that don't rule for us.
Somehow, either way, he's not going to rule on this.
Right. No. Right, he's not going to rule on this. And this reminds me of the old joke.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the old joke that we would always of the psychiatrist, you know, and the person who pays is right, you know, that kind of thing. Like with the marriage counselor, whoever, that's the Simpsons line. Marriage counselor, whoever pays is right. That was the Simpsons advertisement one time. Yeah, that's basically what this comes down to. By the way, so I don't think there's anything else to say there except for wow, you know, just wow.
Yeah, good Dennis Waffman, you're not expecting a good ruling here.
No. This is not. That arbitration thing may have to be re-examined after this. I mean, you may have to look at that again and say, okay, what's going on here? By the way, so 1,210 people in the last last hour and 10 minutes have voted on Phil Kessel on my blog. So 1,210 votes, 90.17 of them say Phil Kessel should be on Team USA. 9.83 say he shouldn't. So for what it's worth,
none of us know what we're talking about.
None of us know what we're talking about. All right, so let's get into the best of all time, number 2. I'm going to go first. So the fourth vote for this is Mark Howe, okay, who comes in at 12, which we thought.
Bad that he came in 4th. He's a Hall of Famer, but okay.
Yeah, but you're talking about, you're going against 4 really good ones. The third is Mike's selection. Well, 4th was Mark Howe, which is my selection, actually, but under duress. Third was Doug Harvey at 20.19.
I told you he was going to suffer from just being old.
Even though he probably is the best defenseman of all time, or he won 7 Norris trophies over an 8-year span, like we talked about.
I'll stick with him, even though nobody else knows who the hell he is.
So that leaves us with Al McGinnis and Brian Leetch standing next to each other. And who's going to get the crown handed to them?
It's got to be Leetch. No offense to McGinnis, but it's not even close.
With 38.93% of the votes, Al McGinnis is the winner.
Oh, everybody's an idiot who voted for Al McGinnis. Idiot.
Oh boy. We will let this.
Dan won, right? Dan won.
But these polls are technically they run for 24 hours, so this is not done yet. We're just gonna we will.
No. Yesterday we ended it when we did the show, so it's got to end now.
All right, we'll end it now. 38.93 to 32.04. I feel as if that this went along party lines as far as Canadian and American. Because that's about the difference between Americans and Canadians on our website. 8% more Canadians. So yeah, I'll say it's about right. 6%. So that's best number 2 of all time.
Next time I sing "Oh Canada," I'm changing the words.
Unquestionably, Al McGinnis. You guys have voted. It's true.
Like they did at the Major League All-Star game.
I know. So I'm going to refresh it one more time, just because someone's like, "Oh, you got to refresh it," but it's still. I don't think it's going to change. But there we are. So it's it's still the same. It's the same as it is. 38 to 32%. McGinnis over Leach. Doug Harvey, is Canadians. I thought he would take some away from McGinnis actually, and Mark Howe being American. I thought this was pretty fair. He had the 2 of each.
Too old. That was the problem.
Doug Harvey didn't play in the 21st century, so there you go.
Right. So there you have it. Yeah, I guess.
Well, since Dan's pick won, he gets the first pick.
Well, no, the first pick today I want to give to Kevin Allen because he's not here.
Okay.
Here's the funny thing too.
What was that?
Leach won one more Norris than Mr. McGinnis. He won a Calder. Al McGinnis didn't win a Calder, and I think.
And they broke even on Stanley Cups.
Yeah, McGinnis had more points, but I think points per game, Leach looks like he's higher too. But hey, what do I know? Everybody else is right.
Okay. So today, we will let Kevin go first, and Dan can go second, or unless Kevin picks Dan's, which is possible.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so Dan will go second. Then Mike, you would be next, followed by Russ, followed by me. I think it's how it's worked this time around. Okay.
By the way, just not that this means anything, but if we were doing this for syrups, why do I think Kevin Allen would pick like Mrs. Butterworth as his number 1? Am I right about that?
You think he's a Mrs. Butterworth type guy?
I don't know why. We've never talked about it. I just do.
And there's something about holding that little syrupy shaped woman in your hands as you pour it onto your pancakes.
Well, I'd be taking Aunt Jemima.
I always feel uncomfortable about where my fingers are going when I hold the Mrs. Butterworth thing. I'm like, oh man, I can't.
And I always have to cover Aunt Jemima's midriff when I put my hand around the bottle.
Yeah, how do you grip it? I mean, that's a tough one. I don't know. If you really want to sell syrup, you should be using like somebody like Donald Trump's wife. All right, so Kevin Allen has gone with Pierre Pilot.
Hey, that's a really good pick.
Pierre Pilat. I thought it was Pilot because it was French. Pilat. Pierre Pilat. Sorry about that.
Which was my choice.
Now he succeeded Harvey. So as the NHL's best defenseman, winning the Norris Trophy from 63 to 65, making the All-Star team 8 times in a row, including 5 teams as a first-time All-Star.
Mostly Blackhawk, right?
Yep, yeah. Put up 59 points in the season, which were huge numbers for that time.
Oh yeah, those are big numbers.
59 points for a defenseman in the 60s and 50s. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So he's the number 1. So that takes away yours, Mike. But you have to go up with someone else. Hopefully you had another option.
Yeah, I do. But let me give you Dan's first, because Dan went. Well, he didn't go with an Islander, but he went with old school, and he chose Ken Danico of the New Jersey Devils.
Nice, all right.
He could have gone with an Islander because Al Arbor wore number 3.
I thought that's where he was going to go with that.
Yeah, Dan, you blew it.
Right, I'm really surprised.
I like Ken Danico, don't get me wrong, but he blew it.
And Danico, even though we can laugh at it, he was very
underrated defenseman.
Really good defenseman for a long time.
Very important to that whole team and all those championships.
And like the one guy who transitioned from the Rockies to the Devils, right? Like, didn't he actually? I think he was, and Barry Beck did too, I guess, but not as much. Danico, I really think.
Devils. He went to the Rangers.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it's a little bit crazy, but it's not as crazy as I thought it would be. Because I thought he would go, and I thought Al Arbor would have been.
Me or Mike.
All right, what's yours? What's yours, Russ?
Tim Horton.
Tim Horton.
Whoa.
That's a great one.
Where did he wear number 3? In the Rangers?
Or it's somewhere. I think he was with the Rangers, though.
Yeah,
because wait a second. Yeah, I mean, you guy has to wear it. The rule has to be you have to wear it the majority of your career.
Wait, where did that? Whoa.
Well, come on, that's obvious, right?
His number was 7. He was 7 for almost in his entire career.
When did that rule come into play?
Well, he's retired as number 7, isn't he? In Toronto.
In Toronto, yes.
I mean, that's.
He obviously wore 3 too, and I'm going.
And he's retired as number.
How many years did he wear number 3?
I don't know. Let's see.
If he was with the Rangers, it was 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's. I don't know. That's a little bit lame.
You have to really refine.
I know you have to make these rules ahead of time. We make these rules up as we go along, but that's, part of these are common sense. Russ, come on now.
Oh, my common sense compared to yours.
Like, didn't Gretzky wear come in as not number 99 for his first for the Edmonton Oilers? I think he didn't wear 99 when he first started there. So come on now.
Well, I had to look this one up because 3 is actually it's a really bad number when
for some reason it is. It's like a number of it's a number of infamy kind of like.
And I know people were saying Dion Phaneuf, and I'm like no. I'm gonna go with Marcel Pronovost, who wore.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Who wore 3? I believe most of his career with Detroit. I don't think he wore 3 in Toronto, but he wore 3 for his most of his time with the Detroit Red Wings in the 60s. He was part of the Leaf team in '67 that won the cup.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Sabres too.
Yeah, Horton won for 1 year, but again, I call foul.
We really don't have anyone who played in the 21st century that we can.
Why don't you take the famous Ranger defenseman, number 3?
Nope, I chose Tim Horton.
Okay, well, you're wrong.
I know who you're talking about, James Patrick. Tim Horton was better.
What about Harry Howell?
I know. I like Harry Howell a lot too. I picked Horton because I wanted.
You want to piss people
off.
But
he's not number 3. The problem is he's not.
I mean, Tim Horton is going to be number 7.
No, I found the loophole. I was going with it.
I appreciate that.
No, Harry Howell would be the next number 3 that would come to mind, and he would. He was fantastic.
That's a great pick.
He literally told me he could have scored a lot more points, but again was a guy that played a certain role at times. But he's a Hall of Famer. Tremendous. He's really a tremendous guy too. But he was a big time skater in his day. Great skater, great defender, and a little known thing for him is, because he played for the Kings before the real estate market blew up, he bought a nice house in Hollywood and made quite a killing on it.
Oh, that's good.
Real estate exploded back then in the 70s.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a good story. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
But I said James Patrick just to give Mike a hard time.
No, I like James.
Number 3 too.
I was trying. I mean, we must be missing somebody here. There's got to be a Is there not a good?
Someone will tweet us and say you're missing blah blah blah, but
right, it's going to be so obvious. There's got to be a player that I think the fans have a chance to take this one, but I'm going to go with I mean, and I only heard stories. The only reason I'm getting right with this guy is recently I was with Scoot Cooper in Philadelphia, and he was talking about old players, right? And he brought this guy up, and I ended up looking him up, so I ended up figuring out, and then I was like, wait a second. And I remember when we were going number 3. Isn't he number 3? Sorry.
Ghostbusters?
No, that would be the X-Files. That's my ringtone.
Oh. Okay.
No, that would be J.C. Tremblay. Okay, who now we're going back into the 30s now.
Yeah.
But
not the 30s.
No, not the 30s for J.C. Tremblay.
Wasn't he in the 30s? I thought he was in the 30s.
No.
Are we sure about that?
Yes. Well, I'm not 100%, but it sounds like the 60s.
I thought he was in the 30s. Let me.
Not a chance. I'll double check.
That's like saying you're in your 30s. Come on.
All right, J.C. Tremblay. Oh, he was born in '39, so probably didn't play in the 30s.
Yeah, he played when he was 6 years old. There you go.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, J.C. Tremblay. I was talking to Scoop about this. I think it was Scoop. I'm pretty sure it was Scoop. If not, Scoop will remind me. It wasn't him, but it was somebody in one of the media meals, an old timer, and it was talking about the best puck handling defenseman of the early era. And saying that J.C. Tremblay was like the Phil Coffey of that era, where he was one of the first offensive defensemen. I'm trying to find some interesting things about his.
His last two years in the NHL, he scored 63 and 57 points, over 50 assists both years. Had 17 points the year the Canadians won the Stanley Cup in '71.
Right.
Yeah, had a good career. 60. He started in 1960, ended in '72, then went to the WHA for 7 years with the Quebec Nordiques. So, yeah, it's a good choice.
I mean, isn't there? Hold on, there's another thing I want to look up for a second because I like Jason Tremblay, but I think I can do better than that somehow. Player. Oh, no,
like I said, you could have chosen Al Arbor, and I thought about it.
Barry Beck.
Barry Beck's a good one.
If he didn't get injured so much, he would have definitely been on my list.
Yeah, I know.
His shoulder used to pop out a lot when he was a Ranger, a lot.
The Russian Red Army team.
Richie Dunn.
Those numbers don't count.
No,
I mean, no, it's.
Come on.
They don't count.
Are we gonna go in like number 20? We're gonna take Tretiak for crying out loud.
No, they don't count.
No, all right.
If I can't use a number 3 that a guy legitimately wore, all you would say is a number. You just said a guy could wear the number. I proved that the guy wore the number, so you can't go in a Russian league then.
I'm going to go with Barry Beck. All right, I'm going to throw Barry Beck out there as mine because I think no offense to J.C. Tremblay, but I like Barry Beck. That was a better one.
No, he was a feared guy, and when he got traded to the Rangers, that was a huge deal. He was a guy that the Rangers wanted badly. He just couldn't stay healthy after a while, but he did have some massive point seasons before he got hurt.
So let's review. Pierre Pilote is Kevin Allen's pick for this.
Yep. Harry Howell's my real pick.
Yeah, Russ has gone with Harry Howell.
Dan took Ken Danico. I took Marcel Pronovost, and you took Barry Beck.
Barry Beck, yes. Rod Langway? Wait a second.
Rod Langway was 5.
Right, he was a 5.
Shoot. All right, I was thinking, all right, yeah.
And 5's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, there's a couple really good 5s.
5, those are going to be tough ones, man.
And tomorrow we were going to have a real battle on our hands with number 4. Number 4 has 2 incredible all-timers.
Yeah.
That again could very much be drawn along party lines. So, well,
to me, it's. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for the Francophone 4.
Yes.
Numéro 14, but it's going to be the Massachusetts number 4. If it
my
is
pinball machine upstairs. I
really like Tim Foley, but I guess I can't use him. Although he did wear number 4.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go with Ben Wilson here.
He doesn't even know who Tim Foley is.
I don't know who Tim Foley is.
Quick pick to either Richie Dunn or Babe Ruth. No, just kidding.
Ben Wilson or
he was. If Babe Ruth played a moment of ice hockey, I would have picked him.
Exactly.
I mean, the Flyers had a history of number 3s getting booed out of the building. This was something that I remember. I remember that number was the number. I mean, went back to like Tom Blayden, who was a good player, a half decent player too. But Tom Blayden just would make terrible mistakes at terrible times, and he was back in that when that team was really good and they had trouble. Then that moved on to Doug Crossman, who was also another really good player, but one of the big 4 of that Flyers team that should have won a couple Stanley Cups, but ran into the Oilers twice.
Well, Ben Wilson was a great fighter, but
Ben Wilson was an awesome fighter.
Yeah, but he was not a great player.
And Ben Wilson's biggest claim to fame, though, it shouldn't be his fighting. Ben Wilson's biggest career moment was that he scored the goal with like 16 seconds left to tie the Penguins that extended the streak to 28 games, which tied the longest winning streak.
Sure, but that's like when Ken Morrow scored his goal,
No, but this was like 16 seconds left, the streak was almost over, and they ended up tying the record.
Ken Morrow scored an overtime goal, but whatever, you're right.
There you go. So, but anyway, 35 games unbeaten, still hasn't been touched. All right, and then after that, then you get some really crazy Flyers number 3s, including Mike Rathje, who also got booed out of the building.
Mike Rathje, although he never got booed out of the Voorhees at the training facility because he used to be there all the time. No one bothered him.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy, but when he was collecting for quite a few years, I would see him in the stands watching kids play, watching practice.
Yeah, he was fine, and man, he was a good player with the Sharks too. But then when he came to Philly, he had one game. I'll never forget this game where he just gave the other team like 4 goals. Like it was just one of the most. It was an all-timer. And he even knew it. He was like, and as I'm walking, this is again Scoop Cooper, who is a great Flyer, a historian, a really funny guy we've had on the show before. I remember after Rathje's game, which I'm walking into the elevator with Scoop to go down, and Scoop says, "That is the kind of game, my friend, that ends men's careers." And for Scoop to say that, which is like really out of character for Scoop, and literally, Ratsy never played another minute for the Flyers after that game. So yeah, number 4 tomorrow. Get your fighting gloves on, and we should see who has to go third tomorrow because that's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough.
Actually, it's pretty easy. Third is pretty easy. Fourth is harder. So there you have it. Third, just retired and is going to go into the Hockey Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Remember, guys, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you then.